It's Great Britain here. One of the greatest empires in history, the British Empire was claimed to have existed forever. However, it is currently in decline. In the last quarter of 2023, Britain's economy fell into a technical recession. Its GDP shrank by 0.3% in the last 3 months of 2023, after contracting 0.1% in the third quarter. The average worker has also lost $10,700 annually on top of that. Furthermore, since British households were already having financial difficulties before the pandemic struck, it is unlikely to get better. They now have a long way to go before they can return to their former quality of living. It may take until 2027, according to experts, for household earnings to return to pre-pandemic levels. The future appears bleak, with so much political instability and misgovernance. Thus, a few brief inquiries. What specifically went wrong in the UK, and will it be able to bounce back from this economic downturn? This is what the video for today will look at. The history of the economics of Britain is a fascinating part of the story. Through the invention of the steam engine and the establishment of large railway networks, the Industrial Revolution triggered a chain reaction of technological advancements that propelled Britain to the forefront of the world agenda. In addition to the expansion of its massive empire, this time period laid the foundation for the nation's forthcoming economic power. Due to its dominance in international trade channels, Britain was able to gain access to a vast variety of resources all over the world. A substantial amount of national debt has been left behind as a result of the requirement of focused on production during wartime, which was brought about by two conflicts. A significant reorganization took place in the years that followed the end of World War II. Because of the welfare state movement, important businesses were nationalized and the National Health Service was founded. Both of these events occurred simultaneously. During the 1970s, there was a transition away from an economy that was heavily industrialized, which led to worker unrest, a decline in manufacturing, and a change toward an economy that was more focused on providing services. The policies of deregulation and privatization that Margaret Thatcher implemented added to the negative impact that they had on the environment. The disappearance of established industries led to the widening of regional gaps. Through the latter half of the 20th century, the United Kingdom had completely embraced a globalized service-based economy, with a particular emphasis on the commercial, creative, and financial sectors. The first impacts of this shift were prosperity and a narrowing of the gap between the United Kingdom and other countries that are more productive, such as France, Germany, and the United States. Even while the service sector expanded rapidly, it was unable to match the wide range of job opportunities provided by the sector. Due to this shift, there was a significant loss of jobs in industries like mining and heavy manufacturing, which increased income disparity. And after 2008, this pattern persisted much more. These flaws were brought to light by the severe focus of the 2008 financial crisis. It was clear that there was an excessive dependence on one industry and a deficiency of funding for other sectors such as healthcare, education, and local infrastructure. An aging population and underfunding caused even the National Health Service, a pillar of British civilization, to falter. In 2014, wait times have increased, serving as a clear reminder of the difficulties. As the 2020s begin, Britain is still dealing with the effects of its economic transformation. The noticeable decrease in productivity growth is a major cause for concern. Economic well-being is largely dependent on productivity, or the efficiency with which commodities and services are generated. It promotes increased earnings, greater living standards, and a robust competitive economy. High productivity is defined as producing more with the same amount of resources, which is essential for economic progress. Productivity is measured as output per unit of input, labor or capital. The UK has seen a halt in the rise of productivity since 2008. It used to grow by about 2% a year, but since the crisis, this expansion has stopped. Notably, progress has been impeded by a notable decline in investment since 2005. UK businesses invest 20% less than those in the US, France, and Germany, which puts them in the lowest 10% of OECD nations. Underinvestment results in outmoded technology, less innovation, and a shortage of competent labor across all industries. As a result, the British economy's overall effectiveness and capacity for innovation have declined, which has slowed the rate of productivity growth. The mismatch between workforce capabilities and job needs exacerbates this problem. Nearly one-third of young people in the UK do not attend school by the age of 18, which is higher than rates in similar countries, a workforce that is frequently underprepared for the high-skilled jobs that are essential in today's knowledge-based economy is the outcome of this mismatch. Low-skilled part-time work increased in the post-crisis economic landscape, further impeding productivity. These positions provide little room for skill growth and career progression, which further reduces productivity. Further impeding productivity gains have been austerity policies and public spending reductions, which have limited government investment in vital sectors like infrastructure and technology. Additionally, these issues have gotten worse for Britain in the post-pandemic period. Many people are curious about the culprit. As you can see, declining productivity is a source of inequality. It is not just a problem in the economic sphere. When compared to the other main economies in Europe, the United Kingdom has the largest gap between the wealthy and the impoverished, and this disparity has been widening constantly since the 1980s. The widening gap between the two groups is causing the overall growth to slow down. In general, individuals with lower salaries have a tendency to spend less as the difference widens. Simply put, they do not have sufficient funds to contribute to the economy as a whole. On the other hand, wealthy people frequently invest their surplus, which may turn out to be advantageous but does not necessarily result in the creation of new businesses or employment opportunities. The possibility for persons with lower incomes to climb the economic ladder is hindered when they are unable to make investments in things like a decent education, which frequently falls short of their financial means. This leads to a lower level of social mobility because one's upbringing has a substantial influence on their future responsibilities. The high intergenerational income elasticity that exists in the United Kingdom, which indicates that income is frequently retained within families, contributes to the perpetuation of this cycle. The burden of taxation in the United Kingdom is virtually at its highest level in 60 years. Despite the fact that taxes are used to finance public services, concerns such as inadequate investment in education, which is essential for social mobility, have not been addressed by the spending that is now being done. Additionally, high levels of student loan debt function as a de facto levy on young graduates, which prohibits them from generating wealth when they graduate. Because of this, a sizable portion of the population is unable to reach their maximum potential and actualize their entire potential. Eventually, the expansion of the economy as a whole will be slowed down because there is a shortage of new ideas and skilled labor. In order to find a solution to the problem, even laws such as increasing the federal minimum wage have not been adequately implemented. Benefit reductions, fewer hours worked for low-income workers, and rising living expenses, notably for housing, are all factors that are further putting pressure on household budgets. Additionally, the problem is a regional one. There was a rise in income in southern England between the years 2004 and 2019, but several other regions experienced a decline. An increase in financing is necessary in order to solve this issue in locations such as Manchester and Birmingham. In spite of having a population of almost 4 million people, these cities perform differently than London in terms of productivity, which results in a lower national average. There is no doubting that the epidemic and Brexit have made the already substantial economic vulnerabilities of the United Kingdom much more severe. This has made the situation even more terrible. The decision to leave the European Union in 2016 has had far-reaching consequences, and it was motivated by the desire to reduce immigration and to stimulate the economy. Trade openness, a crucial economic indicator, has experienced a significant decline ever since the United Kingdom left the European Union. The United Kingdom is the only important economy in Europe that is currently seeing a reduction in trade, despite the fact that worldwide trade is beginning to recover. This is occurring despite the fact that the outbreak first made this effect less obvious. It is anticipated that negotiations with non-EU nations, such as Australia, which are being hailed as tremendous triumphs, will ultimately result in a meager 0.85% annual increase in GDP by the year 2035. In addition, the Brexit has had a significant impact on the manufacturing sector and productivity. A restructuring has taken place in the products trade industry as a consequence of the decrease of more than 10% from levels that existed before Brexit. Manufacturing industries that are highly productive, such as those dealing with chemicals and transportation, have experienced a decline as a result of their dependence on integrated supply chains in Europe. Because of this, there is a greater reliance on low-productivity sectors, such as domestic food production, which is comparable to the period of time that followed World War II, which was characterized by a slowdown. Innovation, growth, and placement in foreign markets are all hampered when a company is dependent on industries that attract less competition. Some people believe that the United Kingdom has become more inwardly focused as a result of Brexit. In spite of this inward-looking perspective, the United Kingdom is confronted with a challenging but potentially beneficial goal of reducing carbon emissions and attaining net zero by the year 2050. There is a possibility that this change will result in significant job possibilities and economic growth. On the other hand, it would appear that the government's willingness to achieve net zero is questionable. Recently, decisions have been made that prioritize short-term profit over long-term environmental and economic goals. One example of this is the opening of more oil fields in the North Sea. These erroneous policies, which are a reflection of a disturbing trend in British politics, will be a burden on future generations with their implications. Proponents of these decisions argue that they maintain competitiveness with countries such as China and India thanks to their implementation. They ignore, however, the opportunity for the UK to lead the world in renewable energy, a route that has enormous potential to increase growth and productivity. Post your ideas in the comments section below. Let's investigate how Britain may reach its full potential and successfully navigate the economic landscape. Please subscribe to and like the channel.